Troubling questions are emerging about 5 students from Saudi Arabia who are still facing criminal charges in the U.S., but they've all disappeared from the U.S. There are now increasing suspicions that the Saudi government helped them escape. Here's part of our exclusive report.
Fallon Smart was a high school sophomore in Portland, Oregon, killed in a hit-and-run just before turning 16.
She was imaginative and empathetic. She was intelligent.
Charged with first-degree manslaughter and reckless driving, a Saudi college student, Abdul Rahman Noura, living in Oregon on a Saudi government stipend. He pleaded not guilty, the Saudi consulate paying his $100,000 bail. But just before his trial, U.S. Marshals tell NBC News his ankle bracelet was cut, and he rode off in this black SUV, disappearing.
We've put out information to all law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout.
Homeland Security told prosecutors he turned up in Saudi Arabia a week later. Noura is one of 5 young Saudis accused of crimes in Oregon, including 2 accused rapists and a pair of suspected hit-and-run drivers who all vanished. Fallon's family and U.S. Marshals say Saudi diplomats likely spirited Noura out of the U.S. with a forged passport on a private plane, as first reported by the Oregonian newspaper. Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon is demanding answers from Secretary of State Pompeo and the FBI.
What are they going to do to make sure that these criminal suspects are brought back to Oregon to face justice?
Do you think you'll ever see sight of these young, very privileged Saudi college students?
What I know is that I'm not going to give up.
Fallon's mom is still devastated.
She at least deserved a legal system that put her killer in front of a jury of peers.
The Saudi government has not responded to our request for comment.
Joining me now is Ned Price, a former CIA analyst, former National Security Council spokesperson, and NBC national security analyst. Ned, what Ron Wyden is asking is for Secretary Pompeo to answer questions. And he has said that the FBI, that Chris Wray, should come back with answers within 10 days, and that was 2 days ago. They've had no answers to how this government no other government has been able to pull this off. Spirit people out of the country who don't have diplomatic immunity.
It's an incredibly important story, Andrea, because I think it adds a missing dimension to our understanding of this administration's relationship with Saudi Arabia. We've seen the impunity with which this administration has granted Riyadh on the world stage. The Trump administration did nothing when the Saudis picked a fight with our neighbor to the north, with the Canadians. They have gone along with Mohammed bin Salman's disastrous war in Yemen. They essentially kidnapped the Lebanese prime minister with no recriminations. And of course, Trump has gone along with the blockade that they instituted on Qatar, where we have more than 10,000 troops. And we've all heard, of course, nothing in response to the brutal murder of Jamal Khashoggi. But I think what we learned from this story is that it's a much more multidimensional relationship. And what the Trump administration has allowed the Saudis to do is essentially to get away with murder on our soil, to cut an ankle bracelet, to provide a car, to provide a private plane, to post bail, and then to accept someone who is absconding from horrific crimes, murder and rape in these cases. That takes sophisticated support, and that's precisely what it seems the Saudis have provided with no repercussions from the Trump administration.
And this preceded the Khashoggi case, but it certainly tells you a lot about why the Saudi regime feels that they can get away with murder.
Because they face no consequences. They face no consequences on the world stage, and far from facing no consequences, they've actually gotten the green light from the Trump administration in just about everything they've asked. Look at this war in Yemen. It is now the most dire humanitarian catastrophe on the face of the earth, and the Trump administration has done very little to actually rein in the Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, whose adventure this has become in Yemen. We have seen nothing when the Canadians were subject essentially to diplomatic war on the part of the Saudis. The Canadians are neighbors to the north. We have not put up an arm when it comes to Saudi aggression on the world stage, when it comes to Saudi's malign influence in the region, and apparently when it comes to to these nefarious activities here at home.
Well, and in Yemen, we're helping them in their war effort, even though most people in the region believe that this was really a misadventure on the part of the Crown Prince. Thank you very much. I can tell you Ron Wyden and Jeff Merkley, his fellow senator, they are not giving up.
That's good to see.
Thanks, Ned Price. Great to see you. And coming up...